Okay, so welcome back. I got sick, and then stuff just sort of overwhelmed me, and I gotta get back to it. So anyway, I was building this out because I was building virtual employees and AI and automation for some clients at the beginning of the year, and really wanted them to sort of see, like, how does this all work? How does it all fit together? How does your business actually work with AI and virtual employees and all that stuff that comes into play? So let's just dive into the diagram. You're going to see the diagram, and you're going to see, like, kind of spoiler alert, but hang with me. I think it'll make some sense, and then I would love it if you added questions so that I could come back and give you more details on individual things. All right, so let's just dive in. So instead of talking specifically about AI or the use cases for the virtual employees or those sort of automations that you might include, let's just kind of zoom out for a second and look at your business. All right, so first of all, you've got your lead sources. So a lot of businesses, they'll have a third-party vendor where they have leads from, like, Zillow or Angie, or if you're in home services, you get a bunch of leads from those different kinds, like Modernize. And if you're really a realtor, you might get a lot of leads from Zillow or Homes.com, or one of those places, Easy Home. And then if you're a doctor, the same sort of thing. You may get leads, or you may get referrals, so that's another category. So just sort of understand that this is your lead bucket. I could put a little box around that. Let me select a little box and put that around there. So this is your lead bucket. So all the leads are coming in here. So you're paying your Google PPC, your Facebook, or TikTok, or whatever. And then you've got, to me, these are lead sources, right? So you're paying for clicks, or you're paying for leads, or you're paying for a campaign. To me, other is kind of, and that's why we're gonna do this right here. We're gonna do that right there. Other is like referrals or SEO, which could be in this bucket, but in any, like, it's just another lead source. So, like, for instance, a lot of clients I have will say, well, I've already tried Facebook, it doesn't work. And I find out with Facebook, what they meant was they boosted a post on their page, which is, it's great. It expands your reach or whatever, but that's not really lead generation. So there's a reason why this bucket may be separate, is that you may want a separate process for that. So that's the reason why I'm kind of rambling on about it. So, all right, so let's just assume we've got this bucket here, and then now but it doesn't really matter. All the leads go into the database. Now, this is where your first sort of automation could come in play. You would say, where is the lead source? So do we identify the lead source? So you could come over here, and I'm gonna put a little arrow, just because this is where automation could go. So you may want to respond to Facebook leads a different way than you would say someone Google. So let's say you're in home services and you have a remodeling business. Someone on Google says kitchen remodel. They're probably interviewing remodelers. They're probably going to end up on Angie. If they're on Facebook, they're kind of sitting on the toilet and they're scrolling, and then you have a nice picture of a kitchen, and they're like, oh, that's right, I'm getting that done. Let me get a quote. So I think both of those cases, you probably do want to respond. Every lead, you got to respond in 5 minutes or less anyway. So might as well just, all get the same sort of treatment as far as how quickly you respond. But you may want to send out an email or a text that says, hey, I got your form from Facebook, I got your information from Google, or Angie just sent me over the lead. You're going to get bombarded with like 5 people because they just resold you 5 times. Whereas these guys, these might be a referral. So, like, or SEO, like, hey, I noticed that you searched on my page, you got the form, you filled out the form, and that might be the response. So this is where the automation comes into play, right? So from this point to this point, 5 minutes should not have passed. This should have already done, whatever automation it's going to do, and then either assigned a human caller or engaged a virtual employee. So let's go to human caller. It's really pretty easy. You get a new lead. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to call. So that's within 5 minutes if you want to get that done. And then if you don't have a caller, so let's say you get an after hours call, you could decide to use a virtual employee. And this is where AI can come in handy, is that you could say, you know what, I'm going to have my AI caller call and maybe screen or do kind of the job that like a text does. So if you've ever gotten a lead like at 8 o'clock at night, or you've ever reached out to a business at 8 o'clock at night, sometimes you might get a text like, hey, I'll call you first thing in the morning, right? So a virtual employee could do that. It could either send out the text for you. That could be just an automation set up. It doesn't really have to be AI. Or it could be a call from an AI bot that you basically have programmed to say, hey, look, if someone comes in after hours, I want to call them and say, hey, we're going to follow up with you tomorrow. But if you have some specific questions, then I'm happy to answer them now. And what this does, it gets rid of a lot of solicitors. It also gets rid of people who are maybe unqualified because they're outside of your area, or maybe if you put the scope inside the AI's prompt, you can actually tell it to say, hey, you know what? If they only want this particular job, then I can't do that. So let's say a flooring company and someone's lead and they want you to do their garage floors. Well, if you don't do that, you can put that in the AI bot and sort of screen them out. So it's really good for screening. I wouldn't leave it to the virtual employee to set the appointments yet. I don't think we're there yet in 2025 early on. I do think by the end of the year it'll definitely be there. So this is also where, if you want, you can have the inbound callers come in, and this is like people calling off our Google profile. I didn't include them over here because those leads, I'd say about 85% of the calls you get off your Google profile are not leads, they're solicitors. So this is where I would send all of those. So either way, you've got your human caller, you've got your virtual caller, either in handling inbound or in some cases outbound phone calls, and then you've got the automations. So this is where your, a lot of marketers like to call it the flywheel. But basically the idea is that every time a lead comes in, there's a set of automations that happens. And if you have your first touch, you have your follow-up, and then eventually what you're wanting to do is schedule that appointment, right? And then hopefully you make the sale, or you don't. In which case, in some businesses, this can go right back into the automations and you try to do it again, right? So maybe you went out and you gave a quote for the floors and now it's not there. Or maybe, you had a person come in. If you're a doctor, you had a person come in and, you gave them the diagnosis and maybe they wanted a second opinion. We see that a lot with a lot of our podiatrist clients who, people are wanting to use different methods to like repair a bunion or a hammer toe, and they'll go say, I'm going to get a second opinion. So what you do is you sit them in their follow-up so they come back, right? So they're not really ready. It's like going to the clothing store and someone says, can I help you? No, you can't help me until I have clothes that I picked out, and then you can help me. And that's kind of the thought process. So in any case, they're incubated, nurture, and then repeat, and then they come back into the funnel to get set up as an appointment to get a sale, right? So that's the basics of automation. So what are some automations that you could do? We already talked about you could set up calls and text and all those sort of things. And if that's something that interests you, then I can go over those. I just really wanted to provide an overview for you today of, you have your lead bucket coming in. It goes into a database. And if you want me to review databases, let me know. And then also you can have it go to a virtual employee, human caller, or both. And then you set up your automation so that the wheel, like I said, the marketing people call it the flywheel spinning and just spins out leads, So anyway, hopefully you like this. Let me know what other kind of content you want. I'm happy to share any and everything with you.